Well, hey everybody, it is episode 120, Rays Day 2003. As you can tell, I don't have my sidekick with me today, hence, I hope you heard these when you looked at them in Mateo's voice, because I really can't go da 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 without my boy. Well, this is MP Fox. MC Fox is not here today because we're going to be talking about the 2003 Tampa Bay Devil Rays. And since it's 2003, MC feels that that's vintage and he wants nothing to do with that. So we're going to talk about the Topps 2003 Tampa Bay Devil Rays team. Now, for starters, we'll just pop this up here. This is their team card. As you know, from the other video that I made a long time ago, the 2002, the Devil Rays were absolutely horrible in 2002. They actually had a record of 55 wins and 106 losses. They weren't as bad as the Cleveland Spiders in 1899, though, however, but they were pretty bad. Some notable changes that were made. The manager, Hal McRae, got himself shown the door, and he was fired. And our new manager was Lou Piniella. Now, how did we get Lou Piniella away from the Seattle Mariners? Well, we traded the Seattle Mariners our all-star center fielder, Randy Winn. And that also opened up the door for a couple gentlemen, one by the name of Carl Crawford and the other by the name of Rocco Baldelli, to get a lot of playing time with this new Rays team under Lou Piniella. Crawford ended up starting in left field, and Rocco Baldelli was our starting center fielder. Speaking of starters, well, first there were some big transactions that were made in February 14th of 2003. The Rays made a splash on the free agent market. Actually, they signed 3 players over the offseason. One was Wayne Gomez, and he was signed in February. He was released in March. So that didn't work out very well. And as you've seen in the past, a lot of the Rays free agent offseason signings up to this point did not work out very well. Also in March, we signed a DH by the name of Al Martin, who was a big name. So he signed with the Devil Rays, and he actually played with the Devil Rays that year, as did this pitcher we signed in April, who was later released in July. Does anybody remember John Rocker? Yep, he pitched for the Rays too. That year was also notable that we did draft a gentleman by the name of Delman Young, who had a pretty decent career. He was extremely promising. He didn't quite pan out, but he had a decent career. As far as opening day, our starting pitcher, and I'm going to go through the quick opening day lineup, was Joe Kennedy. He was our starting pitcher. Actually, it's kind of funny. Out of the top starting pitchers for the Rays this year, he was the only one that warranted a card. And if you notice the 2003 top style, it's with the blue border. This has not been seen before. With the green down there, there's a little insert picture, team logo, and a little action shot of the player. I kind of like them better now than I did back in 2003. So Joe Kennedy was our starting pitcher. Our starting catcher that year was the young guy, Toby Hall, who I still thought at this point was going to be our first superstar player. Our starting first baseman was Travis Lee, who had a decent career, also not with the Rays, but as a major leaguer. Our starting second baseman on opening day was Brent Abernathy. This was one of 2 games that he would play for the Rays that year. Kind of ironic, your starting second baseman played 2 games. And he didn't get injured. Our starting shortstop for the season opener was Ray Ordonez. And our starting third baseman was Aubrey Huff, who had a solid grumpy career. He ended up finishing the season in right field, predominantly for the Rays that year when we got rid of Ben Grieve. But he was our starting third baseman. Our starting left fielder was on this dual card here with Josh Hamilton, but our starting left fielder was Carl Crawford. And as stated earlier, our starting center fielder is now the manager for the Minnesota Twins, Rocco Baldelli. He didn't even have a card, so I don't have one to show you. But our starting right fielder, Ben Grieve. Yep, Ben Grieve. If you've seen past videos, you know what I thought of his stay in Tampa Bay, kind of like I thought of Pat Burrell's. Also, in our starting DH, Mr. Al Martin. Yep, nice little swing there, nice little card. Now, by the end of the season, our infield looked a lot different than it did in opening day. By season end, our second baseman who played the most there over at second was Marlon Anderson. I'm sure you've all heard of him. And then we had a shortstop who had a decent stint here, Mr. Julio Lugo. He's got a fun name to say, and it would be fun if you're a boxing announcer. Let's get ready to rumble, Julio Lugo. And our person that logged the most games over at third base was Damian Easley. Once with the Tigers, actually had a long career with the Tigers and also the Angels before that. Some other notables that we had playing for us. I believe this gentleman is still with the Marlins in the minor league system someplace, or player, director, personnel, something. Jared Sandberg. Excuse my cough. And then we've got Mr. Energy, Mr. Energetic was on our team this year. One of our prospects, Johnny Gomes, who was solid for us as a cheerleader and also with the Red Sox and also with the Reds, I believe. And played a big role in all those teams. Outfielder Jason Tyner, who we got from the New York Mets. Along with the catcher, Pete LaForest. He was solid, didn't really play for us. Either did Matt Diaz, who also got himself a card that year. But we did have a great draft pick who had a great promise for the Rays, and that was B.J. Upton, and this is his draft pick card, along with Joey Gomez, and Jason Pretty. The boy, isn't he pretty? He really did not do much at all for the Rays. Then we had stalwart of the hit show that actually exited and went and played, I believe, with the Colorado Rockies. I'm probably wrong. But that is Greg Vaughn. He was part of the hit show, and he played his heart out here. And along with Lee Stevens. First baseman Steve Cox, who was a force over there for a couple years, went over to Asia and played. And our starting catcher, John Flaherty, ended up playing for the Yankees in 2003 as he left. Some of the pitchers, not of note, but pitchers that did receive a card that year. Jim Parquet played for the Rays. Doug Wechter made his debut with the Rays. As you can see, this is his first year. He is now an announcer with the Tampa Bay Rays, does a great job on TV. Along with Steve Paris, who played for the Blue Jays in there. Out of the bullpen, we had Mike Venafro, who had some solid appearances out of the bullpen, as well as our first year card there of Mark Malaska. Not a household name, a Malaska. He might be after I said at that time. And then a couple solid pitchers got cards, and they didn't play anymore with the Rays. This gentleman was supposed to be one of our aces for a long time, and that was Ryan Roop. He ended up signing with the Boston Red Sox this year, and I believe he only pitched 2 games. It was really sad to see him go. Another gentleman who was a stalwart in the early years in our bullpen, who exited, was one of my favorite pitchers that we had, was Esteban Yan. I remember him hitting a home run with the Devil Rays. He had a long career. He ended up leaving here, playing for the Texas Rangers. He also played for St. Louis Cardinals, Detroit Tigers, the California and Anaheim and Los Angeles Angels, whichever version they were at that point, and the Cincinnati Reds. On top of that, after he left here, he played for Omaha, Norfolk, of the minor leagues. He also played for Estrella, Escondido, and Saltillo and Aragua. He played for Laguna and Gigantes, and he did play at the Atlanta League for Bridgeport. He also played for SL in the Korea League, along with Monterrey and some other Mexican League teams. This guy liked to throw the ball. That's my quick trip through the 2003 Tampa Bay Devil Rays. Oh, and did they have a better team under Lou Piniella? than the 55 and 106 record they had under Hal McRae? The answer is yes, they did have a better year. They ended up winning 8 more games. They ended up going 63 and 99, did not break the 3-digit loss record with 100 losses. So it was a successful a successful year in 2003. Only can go up from there. That's what we said after last year. So let's see what happens in 2004, the next time on a Rays Day. So until next time, I'm MP Fox. Peace.